welcome to Future Prospects. Guys, I'm going to say it again, and it's a blessing. It's my 7th season, and I am so blessed. It's been a journey capturing amazing stories, and I'm capturing another one again on my opening show of Future Prospects. Her name is Kasha Slavner. She is amazing, well-spoken, phenomenal filmmaker, entrepreneur, author, you know something, she's gonna let you know as young people what you can do with your lives, what you can do with your journey. With no further ado, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pass it over to Kasha. Kasha, welcome to Future Prospects.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, honey, you're welcome. We met, how did we meet, sweetie pie? How did we meet? We met through the book, Awaken Your Inner Hero, right?
Yes, yeah,
right.
I believe so.
And your story captured my heart as well as my husband's on a movie, a film that you put together called The Sunrise Storyteller. But before we go there, I want you to educate the viewers on who you are, because some know of you, some don't. So let's talk about Kasha. Who is Kasha?
I guess I would define myself as a filmmaker or a storyteller and passionate social justice advocate. That's where it all starts. My filmmaking and my work is just the way that I express my activism and my care for the world as a global citizen.
Now, what got you going on that? You didn't just wake up as a baby and go, I'm going to do all that stuff, you know? Yeah. What got you involved with this? Like, what made you awaken to your dream?
I would say that my journey very much was a natural progression into activism because I grew up with my single mom, who brought me to all sorts of activist gatherings when I was little. I was overhearing these conversations of environmental activists, feminists, peacemakers, and I guess it all just kind of seeped in into my consciousness and who I am as a person. And I would say that the defining moment where I decided for myself that I wanted to be a social justice advocate was when I was 8. I went to go see Craig Kielburger of Free the Children speak. And I heard his story of becoming involved in his community at a very young age, at 12. And it was then that I realized that kids really can make a difference and that we have the power to change what we wish to see in the world.
Wow, so you were 8 years old when you woke up and said, I'm going to do something. 8 years old? Oh, so what did you first start doing before you got into this amazing film that you did?
So I started very locally. I joined my school's social justice club, but I also started making a product called Sugar Scrubs. So it was like Kasha's Sugar Scrubs. It was like, it was a body scrub, so people could use it in the bath, and I would sell it and use it as a tool to fundraise for local charities. And then when I first got passionate about photography, I used that product, that initial product, to fundraise half for my camera and then half for local causes. And then from there, it turned into a line of greeting cards that also contributed to local causes called Kasha's Cards of Kindness.
Okay, now those cards, were they handwritten? Did you do photography? Like, how did they come about?
So those were photography. So once I'd raised enough funds to get my first camera, I started taking pictures in my city all over the place, whatever inspired me. And then I just made some nice greeting cards out of that with a photo on the front and blank insides, and then put a little mission statement on the back about where the funds would be going. So I fundraised for a local women's shelter called the Red Door Shelter.
All right, and then the bigger picture of it is, then you branched out, and then obviously you decided to create your own film, which is titled?
The Sunrise Storyteller.
Okay, which we're going to segue over to that right now and share with you viewers on this beautiful piece called The Sunrise Storyteller. Roll it, please, guys.
What if I could go visit people making change in their own communities? Show the world that change is possible, no matter where you come from.
We are all done packing. Behind me, I've got my trusty backpack. This is what I'm going to be living out of for the next 6 months, so we'll see how it goes.
question how you respond about that problem, how you respond about that circumstances.
And the reason that I first started working with refugees is because of the inspiration that I got from working with them and seeing these people who had no opportunities, who have really worked so hard to be able to make opportunities for themselves.
I have to keep going because there is someone that is following me.
You can have money, you can have everything you want, but happiness is very important. You can't buy happiness.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm sorry, like, wow. And I'm gonna say wow again, wow. Because I was in Toronto. Sean and I attended. Your mother sent me over something on Facebook and promoting your premiere that was in Toronto. Down at the it was the hall down in the, it was in Toronto. Yeah. And it was phenomenal. That's when I found out more about you. Then you shown that film on screen, and it literally captivated my heart. We had Michael come down with his friend from McMaster. They watched it because that's part of what he wants to do. Embrace why you created that thing. And how old were you at the time when you did this?
So when I went out to make the film, I was 16.
16.
When I came up with the idea for the film, I was about 14.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can tell you a little bit about that.
No, please, no, I want you to. I don't want to do all the talking.
Sure.
I want you to tell them, how did this all start? Because you went into school, like tell them, how did this whole film thing come across?
Okay, so I was involved locally with an organization called the Canadian Voice of Women for Peace, because that's an issue that I'm very passionate about, is peace and gender equality. And so when I was 14, I attended my first UN conference called the Commission on the Status of Women in New York City at the headquarters. And that conference brings people together from all over the world, about 6,000 social justice advocates coming with different organizations, local and grassroots organizations that are really on the ground doing the work to make a change in their communities. And I was hearing their stories of adversity, but also triumph over adversity, and the ways that they're trying to bring about a positive impact despite a lack of resources or the issues or struggles that they're facing. And I had never traveled to those communities before that they were coming from, and so I thought that it would be really inspiring to use my craft for visual storytelling to share their resilience and their hope and their determination with other people, and that hopefully in seeing that, people would feel inspired and motivated to create change themselves. And because the mainstream media, the way that we're so used to seeing these other parts of the world, it's very stereotypical and sensationalized and oftentimes overwhelming. People think of the issues as being too big for them to do anything about them.
Very true.
And so, people just tune it out. They don't want to hear what's going on in the world.
Too heavy.
Exactly.
Right.
It can, and I'll be real, I also get anxiety from seeing the stories portrayed in such a way, and oftentimes it disengages me, and that's exactly what I don't want as a social justice advocate. I want to be engaged and informed in the issues, so I hoped that this alternative narrative could inspire people to do the same. And so I decided to make, it started out as a photography project, but somebody suggested to me that the stories might translate better in a film. And with no experience in filmmaking, I just kind of took it upon myself to, Google and seek out mentors and find a way to put together, I guess, a feature-length documentary about people in the global community making a difference.
And you weren't scared on checking it out, just taking on the idea when someone said to you, you could turn this into a film?
I was scared. I'm always scared to this day because, expressing myself and expressing such a near and dear passion of mine, it's always vulnerable. And so, I actually have a tattoo that says courage, because it reminds me to carry that through all the work that I do, because the impact is so much bigger than my personal, issues or struggles.
Wow, my God. Now, I'm going to ask you a whole bunch. We're going to now show, so this is awesome. But back it up a little bit here. You were going to school. You were going to attend post-secondary, correct?
It was always in the plan
Right.
until more recently. After I finished the film, there was quite a lot of traction, and we were showing it we showed it at 60 film festivals.
Right.
And so, I was manning the festival circuit and also starting to create the impact and outreach strategies. So
Right.
I think it's really great to make films that make people feel good, but I think that it's also a responsibility for me as a filmmaker to help people do more with that inspiration, not just let it, make them feel good for a moment and then they move on.
That's right.
I think it's important to take that moment of inspiration and turn it into action. And so that's why I created a workshop for youth to get civically engaged. So ideally in high schools and universities, they'll see the film and then go into a workshop about how they can use their passions to make a difference, or focus in on one cause that they really care about.
Okay. We got a lot to talk about. On that note, we got to go to break. All right?
Yeah.
We're going to come back with Kasha Slavner. Stay tuned, guys. Awesome. Welcome back to Future Prospects with Kasha Slavner, the Sunrise Storyteller. Yes, I had to glance down at the book because I did not want to mess up. I don't want to take a minute away from you, because talking to you at the first segment, you talk so well. Like, honest to God, I got so caught up on every single word that you were saying because you inspired me through the words you were saying, Kasha. They really, really were. I had to say that. So we left off on saying that you wanted to create something so youth could look at and then create their own things and awaken their dreams. Tell us a little bit more about Sunrise Storyteller. Like, you traveled quite a couple of places, right? Like a couple, but a lot. So bring us into that. What places did you travel, and how was it in the stories? How did they actually speak to your heart for you to put in your film?
Sure. So I was lucky to travel with my mom for 6 months.
Yes.
We pre-planned for about a year, crowdsourced funding through Indiegogo, scraping together in-kind sponsorships where we could, to really be able to take that time off to travel, because
Right.
it is a privilege to be able to travel.
Yes.
And so we went for 6 months to South Africa, Mozambique, Tanzania, Thailand, and a week in San Francisco to see the sequoia trees that I was named after.
That's right. That's right. I asked you that. That's right. Beautiful name.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay.
So that was really a life-changing experience, because that was my first big international trip. I'd never really done traveling of that sort before.
Okay.
So I was learning all about different cultures, meeting people, I guess from all different walks of life. And I think that the stories that struck me most were stories of young women. Just seeing, as being a 16-year-old, meeting people who are about my age and learning about their realities and
Right.
their backgrounds and what they've had to experience in their life and overcome in their life, and how it may be similar to my experiences or very different.
Right.
And what they're doing to create a positive impact for the future. So those were the moments that really impacted me the most. And for example, I met a girl named Naptau.
What's her name?
Naptau.
And where
Or
was she?
her Shan name, so her indigenous Burmese name was Sanglao.
Sangla, okay.
And so when she was 10, she walked from her village in Shan State, Myanmar, all the way to Thailand with her mom on one flip-flop. And
One flip-flop?
yeah, she had one. She had 2 shoes to start with, but one broke along the way
Right.
when they were walking to cross over the border.
Okay.
Basically to seek a better life, a better education, but because she was not from Thailand. She was not allowed to attend schools there. And so she actually ended up selling fruit to kids who were attending school in Thailand. And she was able to connect with an organization there called Thai Freedom House, which was an education center for refugees and Thai minority groups. And they teach them language, arts, business skills. And so with no formal education, she was able to actually attend university. And she was very prominent in that organization as an intern there, basically the organization's founder's right-hand person running all the operations there. So she was quite inspirational to me.
Was that the first one of your stories, or just part of the story that kind of resonates with you?
That was just a story, that was towards the end of my trip, but that was
Right.
one of the stories that really resonated with me. To see the strength and determination of young women around the world was really special.
I'm going to put your eyes and your thoughts back to that part of when you were filming. What was going through your mind while you were talking with her and interviewing her? Like, I'm listening to you. What went through your mind, like when you're seeing this young girl did whatever it took to get where she needed to go?
One thing that struck me,
Yes, Anne.
I think it's so special to see that there are these people who have overcome adversity, but the fact that they've had inequalities, injustices, and adversity to face in the first place to overcome. I mean, everybody faces obstacles in their life, but
Right.
you know, discrimination and those kind of barriers to things that we are very privileged to have in our own
Yes.
countries.
Yes.
It is something that resonated with me, and I wanted to share that with other people. So obviously not to take our advantages for granted, but also to become global citizens and think about how issues here and issues abroad are interconnected. You know, we're not just in our bubble in Canada. Everything that we do affects a part of the world, and vice versa. It's all interconnected.
I've always said that. That we live not in a community, we live in a world. We live in a world and things affect every single day of our lives. So you now embracing that through your amazing film is so true. I've asked this before. Do you think youth today or take for granted what we have in the Western side of the world when you've gone and taken all these stories, put them together in this amazing film?
I think sometimes.
Yeah.
I think privilege is not an experience, but a lack thereof. So obviously people don't know what they haven't faced, and so coming to terms with that and understanding what other people are going through, sometimes it's difficult. But stories can help people empathize and understand what another human being is going through and connect with that human side that we all share, no matter where you come from. And so I think that's a big bridge of those divides.
That's right. There was a young girl in the film, and she's a black young lady. Can you just share her story? I wish we could run the whole thing, but you're coming back anyway. Could you just share her story and her name? Because when they go to the website, they can actually see the film. Can they? Can they watch?
Not currently. It's not
currently?
available publicly
Okay.
yet, just because we are doing the educational market
Gotcha.
first.
Okay.
But I think you're speaking about Michaela.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So
Can you share her story?
Yeah.
Because that was really, really touching. Where she lived, etc. If you could.
So Michaela was a young girl from a township, so like what we might call like a slum here,
Right.
Of Cape Town, South
Right.
Africa, called Hedeveld. And so in that community there is a lot of gangsterism. There's a big issue with drugs and teenage pregnancy.
Yes.
And violence. And Michaela had lost her parents at a very young age, so she lived with her, I believe her grandmother. But you know, obviously that grief and that loss struck her as a young girl growing up in quite a tough township, where she saw, you know, a lot of her friends becoming pregnant, dropping out of school, doing drugs. It was hard for her to keep her head on her shoulders, but she wanted to be an example and a leader for her friends and encourage them to pursue their education further, even if they had faced those obstacles. And she was just a very positive girl. She now has done a tourism training program, and she is training young women who are unemployed to become skilled in the tourism industry. So she's instrumental in that space.
Incredible. When you interviewed her, because all these stories you did, really unique, real life interviews. You really did. It was incredible what you were doing and what you've done and going to be doing. Is how did it reflect to you? How did it help you listening to her story? You're looking at a young girl, woman to woman here. Okay?
I think one of the things that that the film reflects is very much, obviously, my perspective of finding hope and being resilient. And I think that those stories also, we mirror each other. So when I was running out of hope, sometimes the artist process is a tortured one. So the editing process was very tumultuous, and when I was watching those stories back, what it gave me was that hope again. And hearing, and sometimes when I am feeling overwhelmed by the issues, remembering those people and everything that they have come through, and I think that that's what sticks with me the most is their hope.
I'm going to ask you this because when you say, and there's many questions I'm going to ask you, Kasha, okay? But I can understand what you're saying too, because when I even do the show, I'm dealing with different subjects, different things, and I go home sometimes and you kind of think about it. You kind of think and say, oh my God, how did they really, really get through it? Because what you've created is literally a platform and a door that people, or even youth and people, can look at and say, we don't really have it so bad here. You know what I mean? What was your support with this project, with your mom and friends, when you actually got it off the ground and you're working it?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, it was tough to gain support, obviously, as a young girl, a child really, saying, I'm going to take this time off, I'm going to do this big thing. People would, look at me and say, oh, that's very cute. Good luck. Like,
oh, they said cute?
Yeah, they said cute. Like, sweet. Oh, how sweet.
Really?
Yeah, how sweet. I love that.
Did that drive you more?
Sometimes, yeah. Because, I am stubborn and
You're stubborn?
I'm very stubborn.
Okay.
Determined is a nicer word
That's
for it.
Right. That's right.
I'm determined. But
Absolutely.
It gave me that drive because I wanted to really show people what I was talking about, because I wasn't seeing anything of that sort in media reflected, that perspective. And so I thought that I could really offer that. But my mom was a great support. Obviously we worked together, so I was lucky to have her in that sense. And also my friends, I think that they were very proud of me, and they were excited for me. And so that was helpful, because I can't imagine going out to do this big scary thing without that support. I guess I've also had to become my own support system in a lot of ways.
How do you do that?
It's tough. I think, just keeping going, reminding myself every day of where I've come from, and all the challenges that I've overcome in the process of creating this project, but also reminding myself of my passion for it. Because sometimes the ego does talk to you, and it talks you down. But I'm trying very hard to be courageous all the time.
I'm going to tell you, because I know there's only young people that sat in that chair, from singers to from all walks of life, and that's an important question I ask you: is how do you self-motivate yourself? How do you look in the mirror every single day? I want you to share one with me. How do you do that, Kasha? Right, you can say, yes, I do that, but how do you do that? Because a lot of them want to do their passion, but they don't know how to do it.
I think having an outlet for that sort of anxiety or that worry is very important. So I'm trying very much to take care of myself every day, and not let my needs suffer because of me putting my work first. So because it's very important that if you're going out to create a positive impact in the world, that you have that positive space for yourself to create that. Otherwise, it's the intentions, they don't align. And so something that that helps me very personally is exercising and making sure that I'm moving. Especially because a lot of the work that I do is stationary. I'm working at a computer all the time. Sometimes it gets hard to remember why I'm doing what I'm doing if I'm in the same
box all the time.
Square feet, square footage all the time, same scenery. So I do like to preserve my mental health and physical health.
Awesome.
first.
Why is it important for youth to sell out on their passions? Go for it, no matter what people tell you.
Yeah. Well, we are people say that we're leaders of the future. We've had to become leaders of today because politicians and adults, I think, have, left this world in a state that, it seems like it's coming to an end. There seems like there's some very pressing deadlines for us to make a change, and the fact that young people have had to step up and step into the roles that, an adult might, it's very important that even though we don't have those positions of power, that we still advocate, we still advocate for those changes that we want to see, because we are running out of time, it feels like. So I think that it's very important for youth to start creating the world that we want to see now, so that we can start making those structural changes for the future generations that will follow us.
You got it, girl. Oh my God. Stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. Keep that channel 65. This is awesome, Kasha. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Future Prospects with Kasha Slavner, filmmaker of Sunrise Storyteller. Okay, my love, we were talking off camera because you end on some powerful words, and I want to embrace that because there's so much more to cover on you. Now we were talking about young people stepping up to the plate, and you were talking, I said, stop, save it for them. So what would you want to say?
I think it's similar, what I'm saying about all youth is, you see it reflected in the activists that are coming up, like Greta Thunberg.
That's right, yes, I've been following her a lot.
Exactly,
yes.
Climate activist, striking from school, holding the politicians accountable because, it's easy to say, okay, we will find the solutions, but who's doing it now?
Right.
Because, we are in a crisis, a climate crisis. So
right.
It's urgent to take those big steps that, will really affect how the future turns out. And so youth are really holding leaders and adults accountable.
They're not scared anymore, are they? Do you find that young people are not scared anymore? Like they're just taking the bullet and just biting it, just making it happen?
I think that
including yourself.
It's partially true. I think that we really, a lot of this courage, it comes out of the fear. The fear of what the future could be like
right.
if we don't act. And so, it is a catalyst for all this positive change that is being created. It is that fear and that worry about the state of the future and not wanting to even get there, really.
Right.
So.
Having their voice is heard.
Yeah.
Having their voice is heard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at you and I'm taking it all in. So if I get my words bubbled up, it's only because I'm just listening to every single thing you're saying, sweetie. Okay. You're doing some great stuff, okay? So you're doing stuff with the UN. Can you break that down? Like exciting stuff, like places that you are going to, where sometimes you've don't think they're even going to get there. So share with them, inspire them.
Sure. So I'm still very actively involved here with the Canadian Voice of Women for Peace.
Right.
I'm going back to the UN Commission on the Status of Women every year as a delegate. I'm involved locally with an organization called the Canadian Council of Young Feminists, which was started by Senator McFedrin.
Okay.
And so that connects young feminists across the country and connects us with parliamentarians and government to really have our voices heard and our concerns heard about gender equality issues. And then recently I spoke at the UN High-Level Political Forum.
Yes.
At a lovely panel called The Voices of SDG 16+, which is Sustainable Development Goal 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. Speaking about my work alongside some really, really powerful peace advocates from around the world.
Are you allowed to say a couple of their names?
One that comes to mind is an organization called Chai Ki Dukan.
Okay.
They connect through a digital platform Pakistanis and Indians
Right.
who have historical conflict and tension, and bridges the divide of those countries to create friendships and also dialogues so that you can unite the countries and, create peace.
Why? Okay, I'm listening to all of this. Holy cow. I'm overwhelmed. I really am. Like, I'm just like, hello. Like, do you feel that they're listening? Do you feel that they're really, really listening to you all?
I think so. I think we're starting, I think it's pretty hard not to, because
Why?
youth are being so loud. We are, and that's a great thing, is
Yes,
that
it
we're
is.
standing up and we're speaking out, and that fearlessness that you touched on, it's, we are, I guess we're just knocking on the doors until they're answered,
Right. Oh my God, it's incredible what you're doing on it. Really, really is, because look at the places where you're going, where a lot of young people would look at, honestly, Kasha, and they'd say, well, there's no way in heaven I can create that change. But you're doing it, not only through your film, but also through the places that you're speaking, right? Now, have you spoken into any schools or anything, any universities? Where have you spoken, sweetie? I want to brand that message too.
Definitely. I have been starting to speak at some schools. I speak at elementary schools, but my target group is high schools and universities, because I think that those young people are at a very critical point of choosing what they want their life path to be. It's not set in stone, but taking those first steps to really pave that path for themselves. And so that's why I'm going into schools with the workshop called a Gen Z's Guide to Creating Social Change.
What's it called?
A Gen Z's Guide to Creating Social Change.
And how did you come up with that name?
Well, I'm a Gen Z myself.
Right, okay.
And those are the people that I'm kind of targeting right now with the workshop and the film. So I really am doing and focusing on that outreach to youth of that age group, so like 16 to 24.
Nice.
But all youth could hear the message and I think be inspired as well.
Awesome. That is so, so good. You're really, really passionate. You almost said, Joe, I've said it 15 times. Why is it so important to be passionate? Because I was told by a business person that, oh no, you don't need passion. You can have all of the education in the world and everything, and not knocking it. I quote that, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying the passion drives you because it drove you to do what you want to do. So why is it so important to listen to that inner voice sometimes as a youth?
Well, that's actually something that I go over in my workshop is, that passion. It's going to create more sustainable, positive change than if you're just following every little issue that pops up, like the way the news cycle works.
Right.
You get very heavy concentration on one issue for a couple days, and then where's the follow-up? It's disappeared out of consciousness. People, they're passionate about the Amazon, or they're passionate about South Sudan, or whatever it might be for a couple days, and then they lose track of it. So, going after and focusing on an issue that really speaks to you, it's you kind of follow that, and you're more dedicated to it. You're more willing to put in the time and effort that it will take to change or create change for that issue than if you're just kind of, here, there, everywhere. And so I think listening to that inner voice and what speaks to you is important, because it is easy to feel guilty about not taking initiative on every single thing there is out there. And that really creates a sense of overwhelm. And so, the focus drives the passion, and then the passion drives the action. And so I think that that's important.
Beautiful. Does society got a lot to do with that, though, with youth? Like you've got to do this, you've got to follow this, instead of just listening?
Absolutely, I think it has. But I think it's also changing because, youth aren't waiting for permission to do what they want to do.
I like that.
And so, they're not waiting for permission to say, okay, you have to go to law school, or okay, you have to follow this path first and then you can. Because youth are saying, why wait? We have no time. We have no time to wait, so I'm just gonna do it now.
Oh my God. Do you keep in touch with any of these other people within your film?
I have, yeah.
Yes?
I've been keeping tabs on them through social media, but then also I was able to travel back to South Africa in December with the film to show it in Cape Town and Johannesburg for the Nelson Mandela 100 Week through Global Citizen. And so I was able to invite people to the screening, and they were able to bring their friends and family and also kind of give us an update on what they've been up to since.
Wow.
And so the rest, I haven't been back to some of those countries, but South Africa I've revisited.
Because your agenda is so full. It's so full. What was the feedback when you went back to Cape Town? Like you walked through there and you put the film on. What was the feedback from the audience?
It was really positive.
Yeah.
So in the film I have each character segmented by like a theme word. So for Michaela I chose courage.
Yes.
And her aunt asked me, why did you choose that? I'm curious like why you chose that for Michaela, and you know, I described it, you know, what my reasoning behind it was, because I think what comes to mind immediately to me when I hear her story is courage. And they seemed very touched by that and seemed to resonate with that and appreciate the way that I shared her story, or she shared her story in my film.
Yes.
Because I don't want to be, you know, telling everybody's stories for them. I really want people to speak for themselves.
That's right.
In my storytelling.
And Sunrise Storyteller does that.
Thank you.
It really, really does. Like your photography is so, it's incredible. It really, really is. They can actually Google it and actually pull it up and watch it on their phones and everything, correct?
The film or
Yes,
the
the
trailer?
film.
The trailer they can.
The
Yeah.
trailer they can. Okay. Are you ever going to do anything with this film? Like show it out there and invite people to it?
So we have been focusing on the festival circuit, and then we're
Yes.
going directly into educational, and then eventually we will do a public release online somewhere, because we do want it available to the masses, to most people. It's just been strategic in terms of our planning, but yeah, it will get out there one day.
No, it's incredible, hon, because it's something I would say you got a gift. You really do. You have a powerful gift. And if that, how would I say, promo or trailer that you've created and done has done that already. I can't imagine the whole thing. Like when you showed it downtown, it had people talking. It had them talking about how you took the time and you took something so passionate to you of taking pictures and creating a film about it. What got you involved in pictures and taking pictures?
I guess I've always been just a creative person. I love expressing myself. I'd say I'm very visually oriented, so I love anything that has to do with creating something, you know, beautiful. I love cooking. I love graphic design. I love calligraphy. So photography was just kind of spoke to me,
right?
And it stuck with me. And so film is very similar. I would say that my strength as a director is also incorporating that cinematography, because I had that passion for photography first, and with film you're just creating a moving image. So, you know, I transferred the skills. And
but there's film and there's documentary, so why documentary?
Just because I think that that's the best way for me to express my activism, and I think if I were to do narrative film, I would probably go to school for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think documentary is, I guess, it's just very instinctual for me because I have curiosity, I have the cinematography skills.
Right.
I learned a little bit about audio through Google.
Right. No, that's okay.
Mentorship.
That's good.
But yeah, I think that it was just an instinct of mine.
Awesome. Did you get a lot of support and help? Like people, you were telling me off camera, how creating the actual documentary together, you had people that actually donated their time to it?
Yeah, so I did have mentors help with, for example, the editing process.
Right.
I did about 90% of the edit, and I had my dear mentor Troy come in and refine it, so to speak. So just made sure everything was kind of flowing smoothly. And I have a great story about the way we attracted our composer.
Share.
So our composer, Raphael Fim,
Right.
Raphael Fim is a very talented young German composer, and he had been following the project for a couple of years.
Right.
And he reached out to us on Facebook once I posted that I had finished the script of the film.
Right.
And he said, "Do you need music for the film?" We said, we need music, but we don't have a budget. And so he said, "I would like to do it for free."
Wow.
So he reached out to us and he said, "I want to weave the golden thread through your film," which was, it spoke to us.
The golden thread.
Through the film. So
Ooh.
that was very beautiful. And then he sent us a sample of his music, and my mom and I were sitting in a cafe and we both just teared up immediately listening to his music. So that was very special. So he's like an angel for the project.
You got many angels to be discovered out there that's waiting to sponsor you and to help you to move on. And on that note, we gotta go to break.
Okay.
All right, sweetheart. Keep watching. That's all I can say. Welcome back to Future Prospects with Kasha Slavner with her Sunrise Storyteller documentary. I don't want to take anything from this last segment because we were talking off camera. Oh my God. We were talking, a little bit of a mismatch here, this segment's going to be, okay? But you had this great conversation. You sat back in the chair and you said about the arts, within the arts in the School of the Arts. Talk about that for a second. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have been encouraged to go to like film programs.
Yes.
Obviously because I had no formal training in this field, and
Right.
I've noticed, I guess, that with certain film programs, you have, or arts programs in general, you have the experience of getting very critical and technical,
Right.
And caught up in the little details, which I'm very detail oriented. I'm quite a perfectionist myself. But I guess the one thing that I can see is that might inhibit me from truly creating from the heart. I can always get more technically skilled by teaching myself or, attending classes here and there, but I never want to, I guess, inhibit that process of
Right.
being creative, and also, coming from a very, very heart-driven, heart-centered place, because especially with documentary films, and covering issues that you care very deeply about,
That's right.
I think it has to touch other people's hearts, it has to come from your own
That's
as well.
right.
So.
Just like the show. Aha. It's so true though, hon. It is so, so true. I reach over to you and I pat your book. Yes. Sunrise, the Sunrise Storyteller. Okay. Yes, because it's so, so true. Because when you talk there, I resonated with what you were saying. Mm-hmm. I understood exactly what you're saying. Yes, get the formal education if you choose to. It doesn't hurt. But at the same time, never water down the true gift and passion that you already own. And that's what you have. Mm-hmm. Also, you were talking off camera about a trip that you did. Was it Switzerland? Share with the audience on that. Because it came out of your heart. You're okay, and you started to talk. So share it with our audience.
Yeah. So recently, I would say about a month and a half ago,
Right.
I was in Switzerland with a program called the Global Changemakers Summit.
Mm-hmm.
So Global Changemakers is an organization that brings together youth with projects similar to mine, focusing on the Sustainable Development Goals, overcoming issues in their communities. So youth aged 18 to 24. So I was lucky to attend their summit in Switzerland for a week with 60 other young people from, I think it's 49 different countries.
Wow.
So they all have organizations of their own, or they're
Right.
working for another organization that is targeting a sustainable development goal. So I'm very inspired by people like that, and I think that it's very important for youth to know that there are many other people like that, not just the ones that get all the attention and all the fame. It's people working on the ground in their communities every
That's
single
right.
day that we don't hear about, and that's also part of what I do is, sharing those kinds of stories.
That's right.
Yeah.
Stories of inspiration, of significance, right? How did you get involved with them?
I just found out about it online.
Wow.
I'm very connected in the Twitter space in terms of non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, and so I learned about them, and I'm very lucky that I have, because I'd love to share their mission with all the other youth who are interested in stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. The Sunrise Storyteller documentary that Kasha Slavner created. You created it, okay? At such a young age. And what age? I want to brand this now.
16 to 18, I
Okay.
would say, yeah.
No film experience.
No.
Right. Took a passion of photography and created a documentary that won how many awards?
28.
28 awards.
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel when you look at it sometimes in your own little thing, when you look at how many awards? How did the first award come about?
Through film festivals.
Right.
So sometimes they do have their own awards that they give at the festivals.
Right.
Sometimes there's just awards programs where juries look at your film and, decide whether they'll select it or not, accredit it or not. Right. I mean, it's a lovely feeling to see your work recognized.
Right.
But I think that that's not all there is to it. I think that it's very important to I mean, in helping build momentum for the future projects.
Yes.
And it does feel good, but definitely it's not the most rewarding part of doing the work that I do.
What's your most rewarding part, Anne?
Inspiring people and, you know, hearing how they see themselves taking action and how they would like to see themselves taking action and stepping into leadership roles in their communities or their schools or, you know, within their countries or cities or, you know, that's very rewarding to me.
Holy cow, you're incredible, girl. What's the next chapter of Kasha Slavner?
So I am starting to focus on the next film, and when I have the ability to speak about it, I will share it with you and the Future Prospects community.
Okay.
But so that's definitely the next step. With the project as it grows and evolves, you know, creating inspirational media and pairing it with educational resources is always my kind of goal. I am hoping to create some sort of platform to kind of track these actions and, you know, hear from people around the world, map that progress that people are making. So finding a way to connect people within the community, connect those stories is something that I'm hoping to do. But yeah, those are some of the next steps. And of course, educational outreach. I'm really trying to get into more high schools and universities with the film and workshop this year.
Do you find that hard to do?
It is difficult being a small organization. We don't always have the capacity to do the outreach. So, you know, I'm always open if anybody knows a teacher or a student or connected with their kids' schools. You know, we're always happy to connect with those people to bring it into those communities because we really do want to impact students and youth. That's where my goal is. That's where my heart lies. Yeah.
I was just about to say that. You stole that. I was just about to say that. So now how can they reach to you? Now we've got some more time to cover some more, but how can they get in contact with you, hon?
So I guess the easiest way is through our website. We have a contact form, so the globalsunriseproject.com.
Globalsunriseproject.com. Okay.
Or the sunrisestoryteller.com. There's contact forms on both of those.
Awesome. Are you looking for any sponsorship?
Definitely.
Yes.
So we do have to charge a licensing fee for screening the film, and if I am to come into schools, there's a facilitation and speaking fee for my time.
Right.
But one way that we really want to remove those financial barriers for students and educators is having somebody to sponsor, you know, a certain number of school licenses, so school screenings. So if we could get a sponsor to cover all of Canada, that would make it so much easier to just do the outreach and then gift the screening instead of, you know, having to ask for money every time.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So all of Canada, not just the GTA. You want to do all of Canada?
We would really like to reach as far and wide as we can. You know, not limited to Canada, also the U.S. internationally. We're happy to do that too.
That's right. Yeah. Why is it important to dream big? To dream, just to dream. What's the importance of dreaming?
I think dreamers are the ones who create change, because you can't create change without some sort of vision for what you want to see changed. You know, if you're just going with the status quo in the world as it is, then...
Now what is the status quo?
I think right now it's just disempowering, feeding into oftentimes corporations that are making lots of money. There's a lot of corruption, you know, personal interest versus collective. So I'm thinking that, you know, the people who are trying to create the most change are the ones who are, you know, seeing the vision for not just themselves and their countries or their communities, but for the betterment of the whole world, including everybody. So.
Now, how does Kasha stay positive while creating such positive? Because I know how I stay positive, but how do you stay positive?
I guess the work, it keeps me positive because of the nature of it and what we're trying to promote in terms of hope and the stories of people overcoming adversity, because it's not just a perspective that, oh, the world is sunshine and rainbows and, you know, everything's great now. It's like, No, there's struggle and there's hardship, but people are also creative and resilient and finding solutions and, you know, taking those big risks to create positive changes. So
I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. And this is a powerful word that I put in my office at home. I have it right outside my house. And I gave it to our son to put in his room at university. What makes you believe that you can create change? Through your documentary, The Sunrise Storyteller. But what makes you believe in what you're doing?
I guess sometimes it's hard to believe in myself, but like that's where I struggle the most. Oftentimes I focus on the other people who I'm sharing the stories of, and I guess it's just my passion that makes me believe and the way I see the world, because I wouldn't say that my worldview is idealistic. I mean, it is idealistic, but not in a bad way. That people might say you're naive or idealistic.
No.
It's confirmed by, you know, having gone out and seeing those people.
Reality.
Yeah, it is a reality too.
Right.
You know, there's struggle and there's, you know, overcoming adversity, and there's, you know, people challenging those status quos, and so it's not just, you know, dreaming. It is what I've seen. So that keeps me believing in the potential of the project and the future. So yeah, I'm gonna say that.
That was my question. That was my next question. You just answered it.
Yeah, I did.
You just answered it, because it's a powerful word, believe.
Yeah.
If you look at Walt Disney and everybody else that's created positive change or just awakening to your dream, and you're in a hero, it's like you have to believe in yourself. And I'm going to tell you right now, you are a phenomenal young woman. Like, you really, really are. You know, you're creating great things, you're creating great changes, great stories. You know, I can't wait to see your next film.
Thank you.
I really, really can't wait. What is your words of wisdom? And I always say this to my guests. What is your words of wisdom, just very short, to any young person out there?
It sounds cliche, but you can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Oh, Nelson, you're amazing, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see the next project, okay?
Thank you.
You're phenomenal. Thank you for coming on Future Prospects.
Thank you.
Okay, hon, you're welcome. Bye, guys.